Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and now that the S26 Ultra has released, I thought we'd go over the first settings and tips you should know. I'll show you how I've configured my device and how you can get the most out of it. Now the first thing I would do is go into your settings here. Within settings, go down to display and scroll down to where you have screen resolution. Out of the box, this is typically configured for FHD+, and I typically like to get all of the screen resolution, so I bump it up to QHD+. This can use more battery, but it gives you the sharpest visuals. So I initially just turn that up and then have the best visuals. You can of course customize this however you'd like. The next thing I like to do is customize the swipe gestures. You'll see I'm swiping back like this. Now you may prefer the buttons down at the bottom, but again, under display settings, if we scroll down, keep scrolling down, and you'll see here where we have navigation bar. Within navigation bar, you can switch to buttons or swipe gestures, and then you have more options as well. So you can change the overall gesture sensitivity. Again, I prefer this. Maybe you're switching from an iPhone, maybe you're switching from a Pixel and you were using gestures. This will give you those gestures and fully let you customize them based on how you want it to feel. So again, swipe back, and then you can use the gestures, or if you prefer the buttons, you could use those as well. The next thing I like to do is again go back, and this has to do with the display, but it's not found under the display settings. Within your settings, if you scroll down to where you have advanced features, within advanced features, you'll see a section called motions and gestures. Go into this and you'll see there's lift to wake. This turns on your screen when you pick it up. So if we enable this, swipe home, lock the display, and then we pick it up, it will turn the display on as you're picking it up, and then you can press your thumb on the fingerprint sensor and it will unlock. You don't have to use that, but it just makes it a little bit nicer experience. Another thing you may want to change has to do with the way you swipe down from the top and what it brings up. For example, if we swipe from the right, we get our quick settings here. However, if we swipe from the left, we get our notifications. If I just want to see notifications from swiping anywhere, we can customize that. Swipe from the right to go into your settings, tap the little pencil icon here, tap panel settings, and then you'll see separate or together. Switch to together and it says view notifications and collapsed quick settings together. So now that it's together, again, we'll swipe home, swipe down, and you'll see everything here. Swipe again, and you'll get all of your quick settings as well. So if you want it all to be in the same swipe and then swipe again, you can do that. Again, it's fully customizable. Now that we have most of our navigation settings customized, there's one other thing you may want to consider. If we go into our settings again, within settings, scroll down to where we have display, and within display, if we swipe down here, keep swiping down, you'll see an option for touch sensitivity. If you plan to use a screen protector with this, you may want to enable it here. Once it's enabled, it says increase the touch sensitivity of the screen for use with screen protectors. So if you are using a screen protector, I would recommend enabling it. If you're not, go ahead and leave it off. Now again, within our settings, one of the new features of the S26 Ultra, of course, is the privacy display. This is something you'll want to customize. For example, if we go into display and then privacy display, you'll see right now I have it off. This is because I have it customized to initially turn on based on what happens. So I have conditions for turning on enabled. For example, if a PIN or password shows up on my display, it will be blocked. If a notification pops up, again, it will be blanked out. However, during normal use, it shows normal and you can see it from any angle. So instead of maybe degrading the display a little bit as it's obvious once it's enabled, if we go over here, I go into 1Password, it immediately turns on the privacy display and you can no longer see it from an angle. I would highly recommend you customize this unless you want to use it all the time. But again, it shows up in different specific areas based on what I want. So again, that's found under display and then privacy display. If you want it on all the time, of course, you can do that. You can find it in your quick settings as well. But again, I have it customized. I would highly recommend you go through and customize it based on an app by app basis. So for example, if maybe you want it customized so it enables anytime the assistant is enabled, it will do that. The same is true with Bixby. Maybe you want to keep that private. The same is true with the browser or maybe Chrome. Anytime you go into one of those different applications, it will then blank it out and only those applications so that you get the full quality of the display unless you're actually in those specific applications. Maybe you don't want someone seeing your contacts. So if we go into Chrome, you'll see here, now we're in Chrome and privacy display is enabled. Now there is a maximum version of this as well. And again, if we pull down, you can see your different options for privacy display. So you'll see it's enabled now, and we can turn it on and then maximum privacy protection as well. But you'll see it noticeably gets more gray and degrades the quality. So you want to sort of customize this based on your use by use basis. If you're in a public area, you don't want someone seeing your display, then again, turn on maximum privacy protection, but I wouldn't recommend it all the time. But again, when we're in Chrome, it's enabled. You'll see it's on, swipe home, it turns off. So this is really nice to use and something you should definitely customize if you want to use it regularly. Now the overall experience on the S26 Ultra is nice and fast and fluid, but we can make this even faster if we want it to sort of limit some of the animations and just make it feel even quicker than it is already. So we can go back into our settings, and this time around, if we scroll down to About, go into About Phone. Now in this screen, all we need to do is go into our software information, and then on this screen, go to build number and keep tapping until it enables developer mode. Put in your current PIN, and it will open that up. Once you're back in your settings, you'll see we have a new option under About Phone for developer options. If we go into this, we're looking for a section called Drawing. So as we scroll down here, you'll see here's Debugging. We want to find Drawing. So we'll keep scrolling. Let's find it here. And once we find Drawing, we can change some settings. So there's Input, and now there's Drawing. You'll see there's a few different ones we may want to change. Window Animation Scale, Transition Animation Scale, and Animator Duration Scale. If we go into this, we can change it to 0.5, and that will speed everything up. So we speed this up, and now everything feels faster and smoother. So if we go back and forth, you'll see everything sort of sped up a little bit, and now again, it's faster. Go back into different applications, you'll see the animation speed just seems to be sped up. So if this is something you like, leave it enabled. Otherwise, you can swipe back, go into your settings here, we'll go back, and then we could set that back to 1 or adjust it maybe even slower if we want slower animations. So again, adjust this as needed, and then based on what you prefer, you can have that set. Now that we're on the home screen, we can customize this as well. This is fairly infinitely customizable, it seems, and with OneUI 8.5, you can customize even more. If we press and hold on the home screen, and this time we go to Settings, within Settings, we can change our home screen grid layout. This allows for more apps or less apps. I tend to like it at 5x6, but you could have 4x6 as well, and customize that however you'd like. So again, if you want less apps, less confusing maybe, or more options, you can do that as well. Of course, you have other options here as well for folder grid. You also have home screen and app screens or just the home screen. So again, go through these one by one, customize it how you'd like, and even adjust the app size on the screen itself. So again, scroll down and you'll see all sorts of things from app icon badges and more. Infinitely customizable to whatever works best for you. You may have already noticed that I have the word Finder here down at the bottom with a little search icon. This is something you can customize and enable, and if you want to enable this, go into your settings, then go into your home screen here. The same options we were just on our home screen, just another way to get into it. And if you scroll down, you'll see Show Finder on home screen. This is something that's a little bit newer that searches throughout the OS and finds things you're looking for. For example, different topics as far as what's new, maybe display. It will find anything related to display throughout, or maybe we just want to find files. It will find files all throughout, maybe something you've downloaded as far as maybe music or something else, but it will help you search that and find it. So it's super helpful. You don't have to use it, but I find it fairly helpful. Now, the other thing I would do is go into your app drawer here, and we can customize this as well as far as the order. Tap the three-dot menu in the upper right, tap Sort, and then you can change it to alphabetical. You can customize this, of course, as well, but if we again go back in, you can clean up the pages or sort it, and I tend to like it in alphabetical order, so I can find whatever I'm looking for alphabetically. Now that we have everything customized, or at least just a little bit, we can change some settings for the battery. Again, go into your settings, and this time we'll go down to where we have an option for device care. Within device care, wait for it to load, and if we scroll down, you'll see performance profile. If we go into this, you can optimize some of your battery by switching this to light mode. So you'll see standard, it says provides the recommended balance between processing speed, battery life, and cooling efficiency. If we switch this over to light, it won't really slow anything down necessarily, but it says it prioritizes battery life and cooling efficiency over processing speed. So if it's trying to save you some battery, it could slow things down a little bit, but if that's what you care most about or want to get through the day, Again, you'll see if we swipe, everything seems nice and fast. And if we go back into our settings here, we can change it to whatever we'd like. But if you want to optimize it for battery, even with the QHD display enabled, that's what I would recommend. Again, if we go back here, this time we'll go back again. Without swiping, we'll go into battery. And within our battery, of course, we have some different options here as well. We have battery protection and it's set to basic. If we go in here, of course, I want it to protect the battery, but you can change this to maximum, where it will limit you basically, or stop at the level you set. If you want it always to stop at 80% and get the most out of your battery health, you can do that, or you can just leave it on basic. So it says when your battery is charged to 100%, charging will stop until the battery level drops down to 95, and then it will start charging again. That's how it's set by default, but again, if you want it to stop at a different level here, you can do that. So whatever works best for you. And then of course we have sleep time protection as well, where it will charge overnight, stop at 80%, and then finish to 100% by the time you typically wake up. Again, it learns your pattern, is based off of your alarms, and should work well for you. So it depends on what you want, but again, fully customizable here. Again, within settings, one other thing I would recommend enabling has to do with sound. The S26 Ultra has pretty great sound. The speakers even go up to about 99 decibels or so in my tests, but if we go under sounds and vibration, there's a few options to enable. For example, if we scroll down here a little bit, you'll see sound quality and effects. Within sound quality and effects, I would recommend enabling Dolby Atmos. You don't have to do that, but you can enable it, put it on auto, or only to show up when it's on a movie, music, or voice. So again, fully customizable based on what you want. And also I would recommend changing the equalizer. This is a little bit different. Again, if you're coming from an iPhone, you won't have anything like this, but go into your equalizer and adjust it based for you. So again, if you want bass boost, maybe you want balanced or smooth, whatever works for you, you can enable that on the speaker and it will work great. So again, we have loudness normalization and additional options as well, such as adapt sound. So you'll see under 30 years old, you can adapt it for your ears as well, 30 to 60-year-old, where it says boost high and medium frequencies, or just leave it off altogether. Now, one of the bigger features this year is Galaxy AI. Of course, they update this every year, and one thing you'll want to do is go in and enable or disable the settings based on what you prefer. So again, back into our settings here, if we go down to Galaxy AI, you'll see that we have a bunch of different options. Call Assist, for example. If we go into this, call screening is one of the new features that's great. And if we go into call screening, it's not enabled by default. I'll go ahead and turn it on here and you'll see it says auto screen calls. That's typically what I want. And then again, you can customize it based on unknown callers or just suspected spam and scams. If we go back here, you'll see we can customize it for the language that we prefer as well, and then change the voice that people will hear. So if we turn this up,
this is what it sounds like when calls are being screened.
This is what it sounds like when calls are being screened.
And then you can change the speech rate to slow or fast. So whatever works for you, change it back and forth and use what works for you, or don't use it at all. But it's something that I think is very helpful this time around. The same is true for things such as Writing Assistant and more, but if we go down here, one of my favorite new features is Audio Eraser. Now this is pretty much enabled by default, but it's something you can now use in third-party apps. So before we look at the other options, if we go home, maybe we'll go into YouTube. And if we go into my video about the S26 Ultra unboxing, we'll just let it play here. And if we pull down from the top, you'll see Audio Eraser and YouTube. This allows you to limit the background sound within a video. For example, maybe I'm in a crowded stadium. You're listening to that, you're watching maybe a football game, and it's super loud in the video you're playing. You can actually remove the background sound entirely or change it based on what you'd like to entirely to a voice focus. If you only want to hear commentators, you can do that. If you want to get rid of background music, you can do that if you don't like background music in your videos. So that's something that's super helpful. It completely eliminates it and makes things a little bit nicer if maybe there's just too much going on in the video. Now back within Galaxy AI, we have some other options you may or may not want to use, but for example, we have Now Brief, where they've enabled some more options here and more things to show up. And then we also have Now Nudge. Now, if you're using Samsung's keyboard, you'll have to enable this, but it basically understands what's on your screen and suggests helpful information and features. For example, maybe you're talking about a vacation you went on with someone else, they want some photos. It will automatically access those photos, put them right into the keyboard itself and make it easier to sort of share those. So that's something that's super helpful. Again, you don't have to use it. It's completely optional, but it will tell you more about it within settings. So consider checking that out, again, if you're using the Samsung keyboard. Of course, there's other things with Health Assistant, notification highlights, but those are the main things that I would take a look at this time around. And of course, if you want for added privacy, you can process the data only on your device. So you can enable this if you want the ultimate security there. And speaking of privacy, one thing I would recommend is checking out some privacy and security settings. If we go into our settings, and if you have gestures enabled, you can just swipe back in. Again, if we go back in, swipe to the next one you were in last. But again, if we go into our settings, scroll down to where we have security and privacy. Within this, it will do a privacy and security check. You'll see I need to change my password here. That's why it's alerting me. But one thing I would recommend is enabling lost device protection. If we go into this, it will allow you to find the phone when it's lost. Again, if we go into Find My Mobile, you'll see here, I'm just covering my account at the top, but it says allow this phone to be found, send the last location, and offline finding. Again, all fully customizable based on what you want and what level you want. The same is true with theft protection. If we go into that, again, we can enable identity check, theft detection lock, offline detection lock or device lock, failed authentication lock, and remote lock. So if your phone's stolen, you can lock your screen by entering your phone number at android.com/lock. So all of these are individual. If we go into identity check, you'll see you have to sign into different things, add your fingerprints, and set up safe places. In each one of these, again, is individual. So theft detection lock, it says your device motion sensors will try to detect theft and lock your screen. Someone abruptly takes your device, then speeds away, it will lock that and turn it on. Then you can just unlock it with your password. But again, you can enable these based on what you would like. And then even failed authentication lock and remote lock. So these are things I would highly recommend going in and enabling based on what you'd like. Now with the camera, Samsung upgraded not only the aperture, allowing more light this year, but also added some features. If we go into the camera, the first thing I would do when you turn this on, once you go into video, is go into the upper right here and adjust the resolution. Typically it's set to FHD or 1080p. I would change it to UHD, and then you can adjust the frame rate based on what you would like. You also have 8K as an option, but typically UHD is plenty, and then you can adjust the frame rate to whatever works best for you. There's also a new feature you may have seen online called horizontal lock. This locks the horizon, so maybe you want to record a child or a dog running along in the park, or maybe you just want steady video overall. You can lock the horizon tapping this little icon in the upper right. The little action guy with the line through it, you'll see here there's one with a box, and if we tap on that, that's horizontal lock. You will sacrifice a little bit of resolution for this, but if we put a little Android here and we tap record, if we rotate the phone, whether it's side to side, 360 degrees, upside down, it doesn't matter, it will try and lock the horizon for you. Now, of course, you do need to keep it within frame, but this gives you an idea of how it works. So you'll see it still locks the horizon regardless of how I'm rotating the phone. So it locks that and it works like you would expect, and maybe even better than you would expect. So that's something I would recommend trying out. I wouldn't leave it enabled all the time, but it's super helpful from time to time. Now, also within video, we have some options. If we go into our options here, you'll see we have settings, and within our settings, you may want to adjust some of the formats here. For example, HEVC is for high efficiency. It will take up less space, but may be less compatible depending on the computer you have. If you don't like HDR video, don't turn that on. And then you have high bitrate video for high quality. That's something I prefer, but again, you don't need that. You also have APV this year with Advanced Professional Video Codec, and if you're going to edit with this, you can, but it's something, again, if you know what this is, then of course you'll know that you're using way more storage, and then in different resolutions here with APV 422HQ, and then you can edit this in things such as DaVinci Resolve. So that's available this year, and definitely something worth trying out if you're planning to use this for more professional video. Again, if we go back, one thing you may have already noticed is I have some lines on the screen to help me guide where I'm filming. This is called Composition Guide, and I have it enabled. So grid lines and levels, and that's what I have on. So it shows me the level. I'll show you that again, or you can do just grid lines or level only. But that's something I find that I use all the time. And then if we scroll down a little bit further, you've got the camera assistant if you need even more help. So that's something they added a while ago. So again, if we go back into our camera here, you'll see that I have this grid here. And again, based on how I'm holding it, we have a level there. So I would enable those from the start. And then of course we have many more options within photo modes. So again, if we go back, we have portrait, photo, and whatever you'd like. So you can change it from 12 megapixels all the way up to 200 megapixels. It's whatever works best for you. And if you like to make professional video, of course, go into Pro Video. You have Expert RAW for photo modes and everything else. So again, take some time, go through this as it's super comprehensive and fully customizable based on whatever you'd like. From everything from your video modes, having tools and more, to whatever works best for you. If we go into Pro Video, for example, you'll see we have all sorts of things such as zebras and false color, and the options go on and on and on. But this is how I set it up for basic use, and then I typically use it in manual mode. So hopefully that helps you get started with your new S26 Ultra, or these will even work with older phones as well, or maybe you're just curious what Samsung options are in OneUI 8.5. So let me know if you found that helpful in the comments below, and if you'd like to see more videos like this with additional options as well. Of course, if you'd like to get your hands on an S26 Ultra, I'll link it in the description below with some links to their site with some deals that are going on. And of course, if you'd like to get your hands on this wallpaper, I'll link that in the description below as well. If you haven't subscribed already though, please subscribe, and if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.